wirklich froh, dass er gekommen ist. Er ist nämlich nicht so gesund. Wir danken ihm. Ne?
Thank you very much. Bitte? Bitte? Thank you, no?
Dankeschön.
Dankeschön, yeah. Sorry. Obviously, it's not gonna be in German. I'm so sorry. I really wish I listened better in my German class. It was very much shorter in English.
Es war ein bisschen kürzer gemacht.
I would like to start by thanking Sabine for making this possible today. Thank you so much. Jean-Jacques and Isabelle for making sure I make it here, which was like a really... And all you guys for helping with translation, which is...
No problem.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm excited to be here. I don't get to come to Europe so often, so it's really wonderful to be here, and I'm in the middle of, changing many things at the foundation and organizing laboratories and all this, so I'm not sure when I'll be able to come back, so it's really a treat to all be together today. There was a lot of things that could have stopped me from being here today, so it's really, really good that I made it, and I'm really glad to be able to look at your eyes. We live at a critical time in history. This time we're approaching is very, very important for humanity. What I said was not funny.
Weiter.
We live in a time where all of our structures are changing, our society, the way we do business, the way we relate to each other, the way we relate to the universe, and the understanding we have of the physics of the universe. One of the major change that is upcoming involves new technologies and new understanding that redefine what we think of energy. That's why the slide I have up says the energy of the future. The energy of the future involves as well the information network of the future, which relates to consciousness. He's doing a good job. Okay. So I would like to discuss that with you today. Is that a topic you're interested in? There is new technologies that are emerging, but as well I wanted to talk to you about these new concepts, these new equations that are coming out and that I will be publishing soon, and this new understanding of the structure of reality that's emerging. And so one of the fundamental concepts that's emerging in physics is that we live in a holographic universe. And in a holographic universe, there is no such thing as a closed system. And so if we're going to talk about energy, we must first look at how we interpret, how we understand energy today. So these are the first laws that we learn about energy. They're called the conservation laws. Okay. So this is the fundamental laws under which we understand energy. Can you read the slide? All right. So in this, the most important sentence is total energy of an isolated system remain constant. We're going to skip this one. But you see, although we all get taught this at school, usually the teacher never gives you the definition of an isolated system. So let's read the isolated system. I'm going to read the sentence and you translate each sentence.
Thank you.
Yes. An isolated system implies a collection of matter which does not interact with the rest of the universe at all. And as far as we know, there are really no such system. There is no shield against gravity, and the electromagnetic force is infinite in range. But in order to focus on basic principle, it is useful to postulate such a system to clarify the nature of physical law. You already read that? Yeah. But you see, since no isolated system has been found, all natural laws are based on something that is not found in nature. In particular, the conservation laws can be postulated, which was just an isolated system which was just said not to exist. So, all our laws of energy are based on something that doesn't exist in nature. This has a very important meaning. The concept of an isolated system, one thing separated from the universe, does not exist, only in the mind of man. And so let's see how that makes a big difference in the way we think of energy. Okay, so here is a lake.
Da ist ein See. Kann jemand das Licht?
Can you all see this?
Also das soll ein See
No?
sein?
Yes? Lights up. Okay. Come, like this. Is that better? And this has a gravitational potential. And here is a turbine.
Im Auslauf vom See ist dann eine Turbine.
It's a hydroelectric plant.
Eine hydroelektrische Kraft, Wasserkraft. Danke.
And from it we extract energy. This is put in a box that ends there. So because we can't have all the gravitational energy converted to electricity because of entropy, friction, we think the universe is entropic. And so we think that the universe always goes towards further disorder. But in order to be disorder, there must be order first. And so, let's break the box together. We break the box. And now, we follow the water after it passed through the turbine. And we notice that it's going south. And because the earth is spinning and the sun is shining, the water evaporates. and make clouds.
Bildet Wolken.
Clouds. Hopefully, with no chemtrail. Yes. But maybe chemtrail nowadays. Yes. And the clouds rain back in the lake. And so this is negentropy. And so there is always a feedback between entropy and negentropy. There's always a feedback between disorder and order. You might notice this in your bedroom. You have order, and then disorder, and then order again, hopefully. And so, your body is an amazing example of open system. There is no disorder, most of the time.
Meistens.
There is 100 billion chemical changes every second. And there is no confusion. Perfect order. There is enough DNA in your body to go to Jupiter from the Sun, back to the Sun, back to Jupiter,
Und wieder zu Jupiter,
back to the Sun,
zur Sonne zurück.
back to Jupiter,
Das reicht.
back to the Sun. And all this is working in amazing coordination. Imagine the energy necessary to make that happen. If you make the calculation of all the energy information in the body, you can't have that much order even at the speed of light. You can't have that much order even if all the information is communicated at the speed of light. You are a living miracle. And all of these cells, 100 trillion cells, are made out of billions of atoms. And we're starting to realize that the cells and the atoms are communicating with a holographic field.
Das musst du.
And this is the base of the next paper I'm about to publish. And it gives a perfect answer to gravity. And it does this with holographic discrete principle. That is the structure of the space we live in. And so, the first thing we must understand is that the dimensions are not as we were taught. We are told that a point is a dimension 0 and it doesn't exist. Although you can see it. And then a bunch of points are put together to make a line, which we are said not exist neither. Then 4 lines are put together to make a plane that doesn't exist either. And all of a sudden, by miracle, 6 planes are put together to make a cube that we are said to exist. But if the point does not exist, and it makes a line that doesn't exist, that makes a plane that doesn't exist, it doesn't matter how many planes you put together, you don't get existence. All you get is non-existence to the 4th. So, what is the solution? The solution is that the only thing that exists is the point. That in each point, all information is present. I have very little time with you today. So, I'm going to have to jump to the meat. We can actually calculate the amount of point of information inside the nuclei of an atom. And when we do, the result is 10 to the 55 grams, which just happens to be the mass of the universe. In each nuclei of an atom, there is all the information of all the other atoms in the universe. Because the universe is a holographic structure. This is a good example of the scales of holograms of the universe. These are relative size of various planets. This is the Earth, very small compared to Jupiter. But this is the Earth relative to the Sun. Point. And this is the Sun relative to Arcturus. Already Jupiter is the size of a pixel. And Earth is invisible. And this is Arcturus. Arcturus relative to Antares. Now the Sun is the size of a pixel. And Jupiter is invisible. So the point is the scale from infinitely big to infinitely small. If we look closely at the point, we see subdivisions and subdivisions.
Und weiter und weiter und weiter.
So within you is infinite points. And at the atomic level, all the information in the universe is present.
Astonishing.
This is maybe why the greatest masters that have walked the earth have asked people to go inward, to reach the ultimate information, to reach the connection with the universe, with the whole, with what people may call God. I, in this next paper, prove what I'm telling you by showing that when I count the pixels of space-time on the surface of the center of an atom, the nuclei of the atom, and which is called the proton, I find there is 10 to the 40th pixel. And since the universe is a hologram, the information inside the proton, which is the mass of the universe, relative to the surface, should give me a fundamental force. And so, when I divide 10 to the 55 grams by the number of pixels on the surface, the hologram, I get the exact solution to gravity. The solution to Einstein's field equation. This can be done by a 5-year-old. It is called quantum gravity because it's discrete. No curvature, no complex differential tensors equation. If this is true, then when I look at these relationships,
Wenn ich
I should be able to get the mass of atoms. So I looked. I'm sorry. I already passed it.
you have to do it twice.
I gotta really do another one. Okay. Yes. It would be better. Pardon? Non, c'est bon. So, if I'm just gonna make sure of what I say. I have to remember this.
Ich muss mich ein bisschen daran erinnern, wo es ist.
So, I'm sorry.
Moment bitte noch. Ich entschuldige.
I believe if the 10 to the 40 pixel on the surface, right? There is 10 to the 60 pixel inside, which has a mass of 10 to the 55, remember? These on the surface have a mass of 10 to the 19. Now, if I reverse the gravitational equation, I get 10 to the 19 over 10 to the 60. This time, this is grams, and this is just a number inside. And it equals 1.671 1.671, which is the mass of the proton. The equation is accurate to 0.00122%.
Erstaunlich.
And so, just by looking at the very, very small, I can extrapolate all of the mass of the protons and the gravitational force that makes everything work. And now that we have the scale of the hologram, I can tell you how many universes like ours there is in a larger one. And how many of those larger universes there is in a larger one. And again and again and again to infinity. And you are the center of one of those universes. And so you contain all the information of all these universes in the billions of atoms that you're made. And it is a relationship between what you tell the holographic universe and what the universe tells you that makes up your reality. That relationship does not only include you. You're not the only one making up your reality. Because if we all made our reality independently, we would never meet. But we are all feeding information to a common reality, to a common holographic structure, which can coordinate all the information to make this amazing miracle that we live in. Now, there is technologies, and I've seen them, that can produce a feedback just like you and me in the universe, so that it continuously feeds itself. A feedback between entropy and negentropy. These technology will change your world, and they will change your understanding of your relationship to the world. And they are very, very soon becoming available. This is something that is predicted by many, many ancient knowledge. There is no way a society can evolve without moving through this step. It is a fundamental moment of transition, and it can be a difficult one. Like any birth, you have to go through the birth canal. We are in the birth canal, and every one of you can make a very fundamental difference, because you are feeding information to the holographic grid. And so we need your help. So thank you for helping. I know that there's moments that can feel discouraging. I feel discouraged commonly. But I assure you that things are moving very rapidly now. There is a movement pushing us to this next level. However, there is a race against time, because our environment is suffering. And so we need to make this transition soon. And we will, with your help. So I was told that this is not a presentation and we're going to have questions and answers, so that's always fun. And I would love to discuss this with you. I have much more, but we can discuss it, and I'll try to jump to the slides that match if it's appropriate. So, do we have comments, questions?
Sind irgendwelche Fragen da?
Yes. Okay, I'll try to stick to this one.
Okay, Nassim, you said that the things you're talking about going to evolve soon. And I was questioning myself what I could imagine in this. Is it more something that is an immaterial change, like in the minds of the peoples? Or is it what we could have and see? Is it something to touch like a machine? Is it like what you showed, little, like generator or stuff that I could turn on and then suddenly energy is coming out? So it's something that I operate like the things I'm operating now in the physical world?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's not a transition like that we are changing our human being style, so we remain bodies and stuff, and
oh yes, we got it.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry, I wanted to correct this. This is 10 to the 35.
Aha. Da sind wir jetzt aber ganz froh drüber, ne?
Yeah, the mass of the proton is incorrect. It's 10 power minus 27.
Yeah, it's 10.
By the way.
Perfect.
I forget to add, multiply by 10 to the minus 24, right? 1.671
that's probably because of all the translation hassle we saw today.
Sorry.
Next question.
But, yes, you know, your question is very good. Because this transition is always thought to be as a philosophical or spiritual transition.
Because I was asking, for some reason, there's an implication. If you give us all the technique and the power and anything,
Right.
and if mankind is not applying it wisely, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be more destruction than anybody could ever think of, you know.
Kleinen Moment.
So,
Not really. I'll tell you why.
Fool with a tool is still a foolery, you know.
Right. However, when the tool is in everybody's home and you're not connected to a nuclear power plant, and when you drive your car, you don't pollute. And countries don't have reason to fight for energy anymore. The world you live in has matured.
Direkt, so wie wir sie uns wünschen.
And so many of the stressors that are present today that produces war and a concept that there's not enough go away.
This is a part of my second question, and then I give up the microphone.
Yes.
Energy is not the only thing that is limited as of today. It's also resources like particular metal, alloy stuff, and wood and water and all the other stuff. All the natural resources are limited. So how does the technique help to?
It's a good statement. However, when you have infinite energy, you have all sorts of resources that you didn't have before. For instance, you can pump water in deserts and grow forests. You can control gravity if you have enough power. And all of a sudden, you're not stuck to the surface anymore. And there's a lot of resources in the universe. We are having to get out of the nest and learn to fly. Very good question.
Yes, are you aware of the work of Mr. Mehran Kesh, this Iranian physicist?
Yes.
Actually living in Belgium with the Keshe Foundation?
Yes, I am.
Who actually tried to gather ambassadors from many countries yesterday.
Yes.
For a major meeting.
Yes.
Which unfortunately did not turn out to be very successful.
Right.
Can you comment on this? Because what you're saying is pretty close from what he's saying, from what I gather.
Yes, there is many parallels. Demomatics. What did you say?
I told them that there is a connection between the...
He's my favorite mathematician.
I told there's a direct connection between the military-industrial complex and the Keshe Foundation and his inventions, and this is can make a big problem if we're going to are connected with this kind of inflations.
Yes, well, you know, I would like to comment that many people are working on these things around the world, thousands of people, and it's going to start popping up everywhere. I think that the way Mr. Cash did things was not necessarily the most efficient way to try to bring this information out. However, I wish him really good luck in getting there. And what's incredible is that all the researchers are arriving to the same conclusion. What's important, though, is that no nuclear material is utilized. Okay.
The lady asked about the pineal gland and expansion of consciousness and asked if that is combined with your theory and if you can explain that.
Yes, there is definitely relationship between many organs in the body and the work I'm describing. Go, this is you're the doctor. This is biology. There is many relationship between many parts, organs of the body that relate to the theory. And I'm working with geneticists that is brilliant, Dr. William Brown, and we are starting to describe all the structure of the feedbacks of the pineal gland and the brain. But most importantly, the feedback between the heart and the brain. And this holographic information network, you are pulling constantly information from and feeding information back, which the major component of the communication is the water molecule. Your brain is 90% water. Yet scientists concentrate on the 10%. You can remove large portion of the brain, the gray matter of the brain, and work perfectly normally. But if you remove the water, gone.
Nix.
Right? The same for the DNA structure. The DNA strand is packed with water molecule all around it. And if you remove the water, the DNA falls apart. But we concentrate very much on the DNA, not on the water. So it's critical that you drink appropriate water, because your cells absorb water one molecule at a time through a tiny tube in the membrane of the cell. If that molecule is not of the right geometry, your cell will not let it in. So you might be drinking a lot, but your cells are still dehydrated. Unfortunately, most of the water structure on our planet has been destroyed through pollutants, radiation, and inappropriate mechanical structures such as pipe. So be careful of the water you drink. Otherwise the pineal gland will calcify. And the communication with the holographic field diminish. Alright? Long answer.
The lady talks about PET bottles where water is stored in. So
yes.
She's talking about a problem there.
Yeah, big problems with plastics, especially. Plastics and many other components, like chemicals that are in the plastics, create much problems. Yes.
Okay.
However, many of the glass bottles, the water was in plastic for a long time before they were in the glass. So new technologies are emerging now to restructure the water. So there is very exciting things occurring in that field that is going to help us. As well, the technologies that I was telling you about that produce energy typically create high level of structure in water around it, where the standard technology destructure water. So imagine getting healthier as you drive your car. That is coming soon. Is there questions? Go ahead.
Is there a mic? Okay.
I have a question with respect to new technologies emerging, which you are... can you hear me? Okay, so I have a question with respect to emerging new technologies, which
Yes.
you announced, and giving or making free energy available to the public. If you look in the past, and we don't have to go very far, we have to go 60, 70 years go back, we see that there were discoveries and attempts to make this free energy available to the public.
Okay,
and
let them translate.
Okay. And they were all unsuccessful.
Uh-huh.
Forces which prevented this, they are still in power and they are alive, in fact, now. So why do you think the next attempt will be successful?
Because we are not 70 years ago. Today we have internet, we have all sorts of structures that weren't not there then. As well, there is a great change of consciousness occurring on our planet. Think about it. 70 years ago, how many people were thinking about free energy? Very little. They were very isolated. Now, there is people all around the world, everywhere. Thousands of people, millions of people, and there is great pressure from the environment to do something different. People are awakening. They know we have to change. And they're putting great pressure on these corporations to make it happen. Never forget that behind these corporations are human beings with children. And there is many people in the agencies and corporations that are awakening and that are inheriting from the older guards and are ready to make the change. But they want to do it in such a way so everything is not become completely destabilized. So that there is somewhat of a smooth transition, which is really important. Otherwise, a lot of people die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a smooth birth.
Smooth curve.
No, smooth birth.
Smooth birth, yes.
Eine sanfte Geburt.
Ecstatic birth, which is another part of the work I do. Mostly my partner, Amber. Go ahead.
Okay, Dr. Haramein, ich mach's in Deutsch.
Nassim, he has read your book and he was very impressed, and he swallowed all kind of information that is in that book, and he got maybe an interesting question. What's the question? This is interesting. He's saying that 98% of all our universe is a plasma, a special plasma form.
Oh, yes.
He's explaining that plasma physics are directly relating to information and information physics, and he's a little bit complaining that in your book that is demonstrated that in your theories are not often mentioned something about that plasma physics and concerning to information. And he's asking if there is something, is there any reason for it, or is that something a point for later?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's missing plasma physics and the relation to information and backwards.
Okay. Yes. It's not in the book. It's in a technical paper that you can find on our website. Yes, in English. Because plasma physics is complex. And in this paper, we show that the information network of plasma collective behavior demands a structured vacuum and an interaction between the vacuum and the plasma. And so the collective behavior of the plasma produce a feedback loop between the vacuum and the plasma. And the collective behavior generate very specific dynamics. These dynamics are the result of these calculations. Another paper on the web, we discuss the mathematical dynamic of this structure. And here I show the technology that results from it. This is a patent technology. We received patent last year. It has a crystal plasma ball in the middle. And then the power and the bobbin, the coils, is pulsed in order to produce spin in the plasma. To reproduce the collective behavior of plasma we see in suns, galaxies, black holes, and so on. And in the middle, you create this vortex in the structure of space-time. If you succeed, you've created a little sun inside a crystal. And now you have, through the pulses, control over the structure of space-time. I believe this is the key to gravitational drive. I have done initial tests almost 12 years ago that supports that statement. This is the future of space travel. Because remember, in each atom, all the information of the rest of the universe is present through the pixels of the vacuum structure. If you control the pixels in a collective behavior, you can go anywhere you want in the universe. Thank you.
He's talking about the red light description and the shifting of the red light. Yeah?
Oh yeah,
Hubble,
red light.
Hubble constant.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Red shifting.
Okay. It's often told that the Hubble constant is based on the red shifting and of the distance. It's concerning a direct description of the distance in the universe. But in now theories and in new concepts of modern physics, it's often explained that the light is maybe decreasing in speed, and we have got another fact and another explanation for that kind of effect. Is that right?
I think there is both. There is evidence that the vacuum acts like a crystal. For instance, light that comes from certain galaxies in certain direction arrives faster or slower than light from other directions, which is a bifringent behavior of crystal. However, I believe our universe is expanding because it is learning. And when our universe learns, it needs surface pixels for the information. When we make babies, we give the universe surface to make pixels. New sets of information, no doubt.
He's planning the biofeedback between the power of a quasar who's made, existing directly in the middle of a galaxy and is changing his behavior to something differently and constructing itself by a loop form just to give the the information back and rebirthing itself. Always and on and on and on.
Yes. The two are not exclusive from each other. You can have an expansion side and a contractive side in a continuous feedback in which the whole system increases in size as well. So the dynamic and the expansion can live together. For instance, the dynamics of flow in the plasma of a star does not stop the star from gathering matter and becoming bigger. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Okay.
Yes?
I have a question about the holographic field. If we feed this field with our consciousness and our awareness, I thought you said that before, do you believe that this field itself supplies people that are not on this level of consciousness yet, so that they can learn quicker and more easily?
Answer?
I didn't understand the question.
It's translation.
Okay, you did?
Okay.
I think she asked if we are raising our frequency and feeding the vacuum with positive things and stuff.
Yeah.
If that has an effect on all the people who doesn't
Oh,
care
yes.
about all that.
Oh yes, it has an effect on everybody. And it becomes easier for everybody to have this new understanding.
Also, da steht das.
Yes. This is why I'm talking to you guys. I need your help. We can feed the vacuum together and change the world. In fact, we are doing it. One more question, I guess. Or maybe two, I don't know.
And he's talking about the principle we're getting energy from right now. He's talking about the explosion principle, that if you put things into a little room, compress it, and then you get explosion. That's the principle we get energy from right now. That was here.
Okay.
He's asking if your kind of technique to generate energy is based on the same principle of compressing and kind of doing violence to the matter. And that's what he explained with the many words, the violence we're doing to the nature right now, I think.
Right. We're doing violence to matter.
Sorry, the question was a different one as I understood it. So what he was telling was that, we are. So where does the energy come from in your principle? So if you were like kind of telling the multiple universes in one point, and it's going deeper and deeper and restructuring. So like, using your principle, extracting energy, is it taken away from somewhere else?
Yes. Good question. No, because energy is constantly being recycled, right? It goes from electromagnetic to gravitation to electromagnetic to gravitation continuously. Everything does it, right? And so if you are in this system, what you're doing is you're extracting energy from the vacuum and feeding it back in electromagnetic and thermal energy, or even gravitation. So you are just getting you're just putting the wheel in the flow that's already there. And when you use the energy, it goes back into the flow. But you're doing it without destroying the environment, because you're going to the source of matter. So you become harmony with nature. You reproduce the same dynamics as nature. Right. You have, in a holographic universe, there is infinite scales. There is no way you can deplete anything. You're just recycling. Even the concept of life and death is misunderstood, because every atom you've ever been made of is still here. And when you say you die, every single atom you're made of is still here. All that you can say was there a change of state. Feedback. Well, you can maybe think of it.
And you think that is true,
Yes. Okay.
Ja, also ich habe mich gemeldet.
Is there any some facts knowable that the military-industrial complex are using this kind of technique?
Yes. Yeah, that they're playing with this. Yes, yes. There is. Yeah.
For how long?
Seit wann?
For me?
Seit wie lange? For how long?
Seit wann? How long? How long?
For how long? Oh, 75, 80 years.
Okay.
Just one little teeny one. He's been begging for this.
You said it was able to control space-time, right?
Yes.
And I mean, the time, changing the time, is it then, could it be understood like that somebody was able to move forth and back on the timeline?
Yes. Translate. What is time is the question. No memory, no time. So memory equal time. So if there is time in the universe, there is memory. That means that space-time should be called space memory. This is why doctors cannot find the center of memory, because it's like opening a radio set to look for the announcer. It's not in the box. So, space memory is an imprint along the path of an object like the Earth as it follows the sun. Every second is different from the other because we are in different space memory every second. And as you pass along, you imprint the structure of space-time. This is your memory. And when you make technologies like this, you are able to create a new memory line strong enough to access any memory in the universe. This in the ancient time was called the Akashic record. So from this you can access any memory time, And when you do, you move in space. And that is the key to space travel. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. This is all I have, and I'm really looking forward to listening to Dieter coming up, and that will be wonderful. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to the next time we can all be together. And until then, may the vacuum be with you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.